showing off the mastery of the cross-eyed face that she has.
Oh, thank you. Thank
What
you so much.
one of the traits that you passed along to our daughter, who also is really good at going cross-eyed. This is me going cross-eyed. Not very good, right?
You look at your nose and then you look up, and then you go harder.
Is that any good?
I don't know. I was cross-eyed. I can't see anything. Okay, let's see. Let's see you do it. You only got the one.
Yeah, that's the thing. I only get the one going.
But
it's
not bad.
It's a start, I suppose, right? But it also seems to be the end point for my journey of being able to do silly cross-eyed faces.
I mean, if you wanted it, you would try.
I would follow through. I'd have to spend a day. I dedicate a day to my life, and then I'd be able to do it. And it would be great for dad jokes, which I do enjoy. So maybe one of these days. Maybe I'll find some time this winter to invest in myself. I'll take a me day. Learn how to get cross-eyed.
So there's a question, because it's been a very long time since we've done a live video.
Yeah.
It's been like a month, I think.
Well,
because the last one we did was the members only. It was at the beginning of the month, and I don't think we did one the week before that.
And then we were in Mexico for a week.
Yeah. Do you want to
talk about Mexico?
Yeah.
Sure. We were
because I titled this like vacation mode.
Oh yeah, it actually worked out really well. We went down to Puerto Vallarta, kind of like north of Puerto Vallarta by Bucerias, and we got this, like perfect little resort that was, affordable, so we could kind of go there and not feel tied to the place, like you had to, spend all your time getting your money's worth out of the resort. So we went into Bucerias a bunch, and the ocean was like perfect temperature, and we had so much fun playing in the waves. Our kids are kind of at the point now where they're both strong enough swimmers that, we're pretty comfortable with them in the water and in the ocean. Like they're doing really good in the waves. Everybody had a really good time. We kind of lucked out with weather. It was like 30 to 32.
Which is like my dream temperature.
Yeah, it's just like warm enough that we could just spend hours in the ocean and be happy. But it also wasn't so hot that, like nobody got like really bad sunburn or anything like that. So all in all, it turned to be a good vacation. Went for like a little horseback ride along the beach. Leo was really excited about the concept of doing that. And so, we did that. And there's like a little hot springs up in the mountains. Serina really likes the hot springs.
Yeah, me and Sam, we're hot spring addicts.
But
So I was like, oh, we can go to a hot spring on our beach vacation.
Yeah. But it was also kind of an excuse to get outside of like the touristy areas and, get up into the mountains and see some of the local, surrounding areas. So
yeah, we went through like their like farm area.
Yeah.
It was like a river valley, and so like we drove through the city, and then we got to like the suburbs that was like all the farming. We got to see a like cactus plantation, because they eat like cactus down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was cool. See a cactus orchard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's beautiful area with the mountains and the river valley and the ocean and stuff. And so we had a lot of fun. Turned out really well. Mm-hmm. We came back.
And the timing was perfect because, like, the one thing about farming is that you'd think you'd have more time off since you only so we sell for half of the year. So you'd think, oh, like how much time are we actually growing if only half of the year is selling? But, if we grew Lysianthus...
Spring catches you off guard, how early spring is,
Yeah. If we grew Lysianthus ourselves, we would never be able to take a break.
So, once the new year hits, we start having to think about next year pretty strongly. So, any of those things you want to get done in the off season, you really have to stay as dedicated to accomplishing them as you do, to staying on top of things in the summer, which can be hard when your body's ready for a break and your mind's ready for a break. And, you like to watch football and TV shows on some on some moments. So, you know, we haven't really been getting too much done.
We've been catching up on our TV shows.
Yeah. Because like basically once the season starts, you know, we don't watch TV or movies. We'll watch like some YouTube stuff with the kids, you know, make some popcorn and sit down and watch some stuff that we all kind of enjoy to watch. But for the most part, as far as like at the end of the day, turning on the TV and watching a show or a movie or something like that, that's just not something that we can do. And, you know, farm and YouTube. So there's sacrifices, right? But then when the winter hits, we're like, oh, what are we gonna watch? Serena still wants to watch the Stranger Things season 4.
I'm like, Stranger Things, what are you talking about?
From like a year and a half ago or so. That's how,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. We're getting caught up on our Disney Plus shows, so we can cancel that
Again.
We got a couple more seasons of things, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's getting thin after Christmas. I think we'll be ready to get rid of that.
Yeah, you know,
a few Netflix shows, and then we'll be back to work.
Then you'll be back to books on tape.
Yeah.
As your media of choice.
Oh, Bo knows.
Bo has appeared, and
Bo was like, "Is there a tripod for me to rub against?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the question was, how did the craft fair go? Right, and that also was like perfect timing for vacation mode, because the craft fair was the first.
It was like the weekend
it was
before
like
we left.
It was like December 1st.
Don't throw him on me, because
I'm not. I'm putting them. It was December. Yeah. Low key. We were definitely watching that. Yeah. So now I'm like got low key on my brain. The craft fair was the 1st to the 3rd. The big one that we did, and then we left on the 6th.
Yeah.
For the trip. Oh, well.
Yeah, but how did we do?
Yeah. So they did poorly.
Why is this getting beeped?
What are you? Are you getting something?
I was just getting beeped.
Oh, okay.
Checking what it was, but by the game with them.
Yeah. So we still have lots of Christmas ornaments. Here, we're sitting in the. We have mess everywhere. But, let's grab some.
You know, they sold, but they didn't sell as well as they sold last year, and so that was a problem.
Yeah, I would say the same problems that we've had with the farmers market, we had with the craft fairs this year, which is
just less.
There's less money, right? There's less. Everyone was saying like their sales were down. Right? People were either like, "Oh yeah, it was good."
Some people's ideas are recession-proof.
Yes, some things do good. One of the things too is for feedback.
You see the camera shake? That's Bo.
Yeah, they know. He does this every single, and then I complain about it. I'm like, Bo. You gotta love what you do, right? Oh, him rubbing on the tripod? Yeah. He definitely loves rubbing on the tripod. Yeah. You know, people's getting information about how other people are doing isn't always easy, because not everyone makes videos where they're like, I sold this much money, right? Like, not everyone's like, you know, as comfortable being as transparent as us. So, you know, like, half the people are like, oh yeah, it was good, it was fine. You know, and that could mean that sales were down for them, or it could mean that sales were consistent for the year before. You know, no one was like, oh, best, like, no one was like super excited, like, best market ever that I talked to, right? So, and then lots of people that I talked to were saying that their sales were down this year. Kind of like 25, 30, 40%. So,
you know, that was, what were we, like 40% down?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Numbers,
yeah, so last year we had one of the most expensive spots at the fair. at the big Christmas
I think that helps
show.
with traffic.
And like we had 10 by 10 space or 8 by 10 or something. This time the space was like really tiny. And so, you know, like people would just kind of flow by. It was hard for them to like stop and look. So I would have expected our sales to be down a little bit anyways because of that. But yeah, we sold. So I mean, I sent a message. I was talking to someone today about like wholesale versus retail pricing and things like that. You know, and this is something that I think about a lot, which is like how much does it cost you to sell something, right? Because there's like retail price and wholesale price for a reason, because it costs money to sell stuff, right? So our goal, like the farmers market, costs us $250 to do, because it's 10 hours of work at $20 an hour is 200, and then our booth fee is $50. And so the goal was always to do 1,000 at that market, so that our retail cost was only 25% of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the reason why us, you know, because I did the math. So at 800, we're sitting at 31% is what the retail cost is. And when you factor in making bouquet time, the cost of making bouquets, you can definitely start to see the ways it would make us more money to be selling wholesale versus selling retail, right? Yeah. So
but it's hard to find the wholesale, because every time we've done the wholesale or dipped our toes in it,
well, we've never really done it, is the thing.
we tried it at the cherry place.
Yeah, but like that was like a no commitment. We like a friend of ours has like a cherry warehouse, and they bought some bouquets from us to try to sell, and they didn't have enough traffic in their store to be able to have like perishable product like that. So it didn't work out. Just like they weren't ready to, you know, have something like that. But yeah, so for the craft fair, I figured out, because it was like, you know, Ian and I were talking about it like while it's happening, and we were like, well, it's good that the craft fair is doing so poorly, because it makes it obvious that we probably shouldn't do craft fairs next year. And the numbers on the craft fair is we sold $1,500 and it cost $1,100 to do that craft fair
In time and money.
in retail, right? Because it was 30, yeah, like, so our retail percentage was like 70% or 80% or whatever the math is on that, or yeah, like 70.
Retail percent?
Yeah, right. So we sold $1,500. It was over 30 hours of labor. There was about $100 of like expenses, like having to buy food and things like that, and then a $400 market fee. So it cost $1,100 to sell at that craft fair, and we only sold $1,500.
You know, we've been growing dried flowers all summer. Like, there's time to put the ornaments together. There's time to go like source the ornaments. There's a lot that goes into it, and it just doesn't seem like selling it at a market is ever going to be a business that makes sense for us when we could do other things with our time. I can see the ornaments still being something that we make, because people really do like them. Like they
sell well.
Yeah, like they do get good feedback. And like last year we sold $3,000 worth of them at that market, having the better space. And so I think, and people having more disposable income. And so people were still interested in looking at them this year. They just, you know, maybe before they would have bought 4 and now they buy 1. Or, you know, they would have bought some before and now they buy none. But they still were drawn to them. So I think that there is a potential that they could be something that we could find success with selling online, but we're not set up right now to sell online, and so I think that would be something that would be more worth our time investment, is to put the time into being able to sell online as opposed to doing another one of these now.
Yeah, because I invested into these.
If we decided, oh, you know what, let's not do these ornaments, let's do something else. We're doing something else with our time completely, and we don't want to try to sell these online, then I would still say, oh, well, we've kind of got the stock available, that maybe we do it again next year just to, sell through some of the stuff that we already have. But, it was a definitive, this is not a business to invest in the future. We could sell these ornaments. We could get our roadside stand set up so that, we could do Christmas sales.
Which we talked about doing this year.
Yeah.
That fell off the radar just because we got a little bit bogged down in other things.
There's also some humidity issues with the roadside stand where the dried flowers.
For the dried flowers.
Yeah, they don't like the moisture as much, and being right next to the road, if it does rain in the fall or something like that, the tires are splashing everything up and making the local air kind of humid, and moisture is getting onto the side door of the stand, so there's moisture coming into the stand, and then the dried flowers, if they're out there for just indefinite amounts of time, they start to rehydrate and suffer. So,
though the one nice thing about the Christmas ornaments, they're not 100% sealed because this comes off.
But they do have some resistance.
But they're definitely a lot more protected from the humidity than the bouquets. And the bouquets are fine in the stand for 2 months. It's just maybe not 6 months.
Ultimately, it's the same decision that we're already. That's no. It's It's the same concept that we've been thinking about with the markets.
Where I want to see them. Let's hold them. You have to put them in front of our face.
Where
we have to get our face out. They're status and straw flowers.
And then you have the other ones that are the more.
Yeah, I'll grab the other ones. You can keep talking about.
Yeah. So all of this time that it takes to do a market, that's time that we have to be away from the farm. Whereas if we're here at the farm and investing in our roadside stand sales, then we can still do our stuff during the day. The day that I do the market, that's kind of me for the day. But a day that we sell from the roadside stand, we're still free as a family to be able to do things. So I think that just continuing to invest in the roadside stand, which is
the plan.
It outsold the farmers market again this year. It's been around for 2 years, and both years, it's outselling the farmers markets. And so
and we weren't focused on it the way I wanted to be.
There was lots of times in the spring where we didn't even write out a sign for it.
Marketing, we're really failing on marketing the stand. There's all these other products we could be having in the stand.
Anyone
there's a lot of growth.
We've talked about.
Let's hold these ones up. Okay, you do those ones. The camera won't focus unless we get our face out. No, you have to go on the other side.
So because these ones are narrow, Serina uses them as a way to prop things up. So there's actually less in these, but it makes it so that it kind of holds this airy shape.
Yeah, because they're flat.
So they're cool.
These are larkspur. I really liked the Dusty Miller leaf with it.
There you go.
These I love. These are sea holly and baby's breath. These I think look really cool with lights behind them. They kind of disappear in this kind of light.
Yeah.
But on the Christmas tree they look really pretty.
One of the cool things about doing we did 2 craft shows. One of them was more impromptu. It was it was at the location where the farmers market, the Saturday Kelowna Farmers Market, is moving to. because we talked about it a bit this year, but a lot of you might not know the parking lot that we did the farmers markets at, the Wednesday and Saturday ones.
We're not in focus because you're like leaning back. Here. Do you want to slide your chair forward a bit? Because you're also you're like, oh, is the chair broken?
No, the chair's not broken. It's fine.
Okay, sorry. Ian's leaning back on my dried flowers.
So
smashing them.
The farmers market, the location, it wasn't owned by the market, and it sold, and it's going to get developed into like apartment condos or whatever. It was such an amazing location. Kelowna is kind of a weird city in the way that it's laid out, but there's a highway that goes through it, and because of geography, there's only one bridge that goes across the lake. It's kind of like if you want to get anywhere in the city, you have to hop back on the highway and then move down the highway a bit, and then get back off of it in locations. So when that highway gets backed up, it's hard to travel. And that just means that you want to be on the highway if you need to get a lot of people, because as soon as you start going off of the highway, 10 minutes even, that's like a lot of time that everybody, no matter where they are in the city, basically is going to have to drive to get to you, and unless they happen to be, the next door neighbor or something like that. So having a location that was like right by the highway, it was right across from the mall, which has, like a traffic loop for buses, and people have reason to go to the mall anyways. There was all this parking, and it was like long established in that location. And so it's just like this really, really good location. And when they found out that they had to look for a new location, it was like stressful for a lot of people in the market, because this is a lot of people's livelihoods. And it's like, man, how are we going to find another location that's that good? Local governments, they can be like hot or cold with farmers markets and their support. Sometimes they want to support it, and then the next election comes along, and you're dealing with a whole other set of people who feel opposite, right? And so there's no security with the local government. And the Farmers Market Association worked really hard, and they found a location with a group. I can't remember what they're called, but it's like this complex of buildings that's owned by like a development group that I think was originally like a family. And they seem to have like really nice values in that they're supporting the Kelowna Farmers Market, and they also, like for when we were there for the Christmas market, they gave like $500,000 or something to the food banks. So it's like it feels good that they found a partner for the farmers market that is in tune with the values of the farmers market. And so the market was actually on the 19th floor or something of one of the towers.
Well, okay, so this wasn't a farmer's market. They hosted like a Christmas holiday market.
Yeah, it was like based around this particular group of buildings. Also has like a big Christmas tree light up ceremony for like the city. So it was like the mayor was there and like that kind of.
Sorry.
Well, this is how I can sit in this.
I know, but if you move it forward. You're smashing off, right? Like you're just breaking. There's dried flowers everywhere. So
yeah.
We're very tightly packed in here.
So we got to, check out the new venue that the farmers market is going to be going to. I think that their plan is to have, and they are right on the highway. You access the buildings from like some side streets next to the highway, but they are right on the highway, and there's kind of like a big plaza, the concrete plaza with seating and stuff like that is right next to these buildings, like right next to the highway, and that's going to be the outdoor space for the farmers market. And then I think that this 19th floor is going to be a floor that's kind of like dedicated to the indoor part of the market, so that might be where the winter market is.
We don't know,
but we're not in the
it was like an unfinished building, right? So it might have just been, oh, this floor is finished enough to have people, the bathrooms are done on this floor, so sat up there. But we're wishful thinking that that's like where the winter market was, because it was gorgeous.
Like this beautiful view
the view
of the city.
It was just like lake and like it was like my daughter came on because it was Friday night and then all day Saturday. It was like 10 to 8 is what they said it was going to be on the Saturday. And Leah joined me and she had the option to leave because Ian came for lunchtime. And she's like, no, I'm staying. I'm hanging
Yeah,
out
it's just
here.
a fun place to be.
It was, you know, it was a cool spot.
But like I can see it being like, because anytime you're in a location and you change locations, it's going to take some time for people to adjust their behaviors.
Yeah, build the habit back.
And so I don't think that next year's markets would suddenly be better or at the level of last year's. And I don't even think that they'd be at the level of this year's necessarily. I think that it would be a challenge just because the location is so different, and there are solutions for parking, but I don't feel like people are fully aware of them yet because
yeah, Ian was all like
I wasn't fully aware
when we were in that area. We were like, where are we going to park?
But it is different to go to a wide open mall parking lot and park there where you've probably parked, you know, hundreds of times, and to go into a parking garage area that you're not familiar with and park there. And, you know, I'm not saying that's like something that keeps everybody away. I'm just saying
it's the type of thing that would keep me away.
That's the type of thing that could keep 1% of people away. And then, you know, maybe 3% or 10% don't even know that there's a new location, and it takes them some, you know, maybe 0.5% of people thought that it was too far before and it was just at their edge of their range, and now it's definitely too far because they have to go all the way into Kelowna to get to it, as opposed to, you know,
I mean, it's 3 blocks.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, a little harder to get to on top of that. And I'm just saying that there could be these small percentage.
Yeah, no, like it's going to take time. It's going to take time
for it to grow back to where it
you know, so, I think because Ian's like looping full circle here, going back to talking about like, what are we going to do markets, right? Because this is like our ongoing conversation. Are we going to do markets, right? Like, because the answer is we're not doing Christmas shows.
Yeah.
Right? Next year, 0. We're not going to do any, right? Even though there's probably some that would be great for us. There's probably like, like a Christmas school, a pack school one that's only a few hours. That would be great for us. We're not going to do it because we don't want to get ourselves bogged down. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to move forward for shipping, right? No Christmas markets, shipping. If we're going to do anything for Christmas, it's going to be doing something at the roadside stand, right? Like there was comments here in the chat, people talking about Christmas trees. And yeah, totally. That's like the type of thing that it's like, we could sell some Christmas trees. We have a wreath clamp machine. We could make Christmas wreaths. We can do greenery. We could buy in wholesale flowers and offer like, you know, not, come by any time of the day, roadside stand, but we could offer like pre-order like Christmas arrangements that, you know, we order in for and we have available for Christmas. And, you know, maybe there's a few extras that we can sell out of the roadside stand too, right? There's definitely ways that we could make money in this holiday season that doesn't involve the risks that the craft fair are going to be. And then when it comes to the summer markets, you know, people are like, poinsettias, amaryllis. I'm like, I think those are just a little bit too risky. The price, because Van Noort sells wholesale amaryllis, and they're really expensive, right? It would be one thing if we were like a florist and we could do like $100 amaryllis planters, but like the bulbs are like crazy prices.
Yeah, people also expect from us, like people buy $20 market bouquets that look like they have, you know, some nice unique aspects to them, but they're a $20 bouquet, you know, and then to suddenly expect that same customer to spend, you know, an exorbitant amount on, you know, some sort of more decadent thing, that's not what our customer necessarily wants, right?
Yeah.
But
though that is a customer that I feel we can build towards.
yeah, and
we're just not ready to do it.
We have other ideas too. Like Serina's been talking about UPick ideas next year. There's somebody that she saw. I don't know who it was, but
she's local.
Okay, they were selling
dirty bee.
She was selling. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me see
it won't register with me. She was. Are you going to Instagram?
Yeah. Oh, here, you talk. I'll look it up. Shout out to our friend.
She was kind of like selling tickets for these blocks, these like 3-hour blocks of UPick, where you can pick and make your bouquet, but it was kind of like limiting the number of people on the farm, which I've always been resistant to the idea of UPick because, for one, I don't really want people like walking around our farm.
I thought I heard something. I'm just.
And it just seems like it would be like liability and kind of tough. But if we are selling tickets and kind of like regulating who and how many people are on the farm, then we can kind of have like a little safety briefing at the start, and then people can go and do it. And she seems to be selling out these blocks of time fairly well and making decent.
Shout out to our friend. Go check her out.
So
the Dirty Bee Flower Farm.
That's the concept that we could potentially pull off as well, and that could be where instead of Serena staying up till like the middle of the night making.
Is it time to go?
No, it's an hour.
It's later today.
It's at 7:30. Yeah.
I
thought I heard something. No, it's 7:30. Okay.
Hello.
I just thought there's some.
Yeah, you can stay for a bit. You guys are good, right?
Yeah, you don't have to go yet.
Yeah, we're
Kids
fine.
are going ice skating.
Leah's in Girl Guides, so this is her big.
Yeah, so we can utilize that weekend time in other ways. Like if I'm at the farmers market, Serena can't necessarily dedicate herself to. I gotta go.
What? Why?
Because
Leah, you're.
Where's her phone? Where's her phone?
What were you talking about? Okay. It's hard to look at the chat and to listen to Ian at the same time. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just checking out the chat. Jealous of your deals you're getting on Amaryllis. Van Nort gifts me every year. They're like, oh, they give us a thank you gift of an Amaryllis. So I have a couple Amaryllises kicking around, but I like them. So I'm like, ooh, $250. I'd buy a bunch. Okay, is the roadside stand air conditioned? Yes. That was until we got the roadside stand air conditioned. We couldn't figure out how to sell anything up there because it gets so hot that it's along the road front and it gets the afternoon sun like beaming down on it. So our temperature gauge up there only goes to 50 Celsius and it like hits that. So I don't even know how hot it gets. So without the air condition, and then the roadside stand itself is actually as insulated as a walk-in cooler. So I know people get a little, like we always get lots of comments because we leave the door open with the air conditioning going, but because of how the air conditioner is facing and because of all the insulation, it actually does a pretty good job of keeping cool and holding the air conditioning in there. Yeah. So in the summer, but so it's air conditioned, but there's no heat, right? And we're Canada, so for doing some of these like winter stuff, kind of like what we're talking about, there's lots of times that we wouldn't be able to put fresh flowers out there because it's freezing in the roadside stand. We do have it like power running to it, so we could run a heater in the same plug-in that we use for the air conditioner. So we could, keep it from freezing to be able to have product in there over the Christmas season if we wanted. But yeah. Okay, what was Ian saying? Ian was talking about the UPick. Yeah, so our friend, they're about an hour from where we are. We're on like the far like far sides. Like Kelowna's here, we're in Lake Country, and then they're across the lake and then up the hill. So it's not like we have very much um, competition, right? Like we'd both be drawing from different areas. But yeah, so they have like a ticketed system. So it's at specific times. They know who's coming. They pre-sell the slots. And then it has a good like turnover. Because the one thing that we're realizing, like I said before when we were talking about the roadside stand, we're failing at marketing on the roadside stand. The roadside stand has potential for a ton of growth. But it needs that focus, right? We're so focused on, the markets, right? The reality of the market is the market doesn't take one day to do the market. The market actually takes 3 days, because I pick for the market. It's like an entire day of picking for the market. It's an entire day of arranging for the market, and then it's an entire day of selling for the market. So the Saturday market takes up a huge amount of time. And then if we were to do the Wednesday market, which we experimented with, and that was definitely not worth it, because we were selling like $200, $300, $400. Yet again, right? We have a day of picking, a day of arranging, and then a day of selling. The workflow of the roadside stand it's a lot better for me. So with at this point on the farm, we've been working with flowers for a while. We've had the walk-in cooler for a while. We've learned like how to properly manage the flowers, how to properly get all the best vase life out of it. So at this point, like I know when to pick things for the best vase life. I know how long they can stay in the cooler without it affecting vase life, all of that. So I do make bouquets on the Friday when I make bouquets for the market for Saturday. I'm also making bouquets that are for the roadside stand for like Saturday, Sunday, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the roadside stand is stocked from the work that I do on the Thursday, Friday. But it also, the amount of work that it takes to stock the roadside stand with 3 days worth of flowers, because it's just not selling the same volume. I could pick for a couple hours and arrange for a couple hours, and then have them in the cooler ready to go into the stand as it needs restocking for the next few days. My workflow is usually on Sunday night. I would pick flowers, and I'd pick a couple buckets worth, and I would arrange a couple buckets worth of flowers to then have the roadside stand stocked for like Monday, Tuesday. And then, yet again, like when we did the Wednesdays, we did all the work on the Wednesday, and then it was stocked Wednesday, Thursday, ready for Friday, right? So the workflow of the roadside stand is very manageable for me. And then it opens up these windows to do other things. And having something like a U-pick on the farm, that's going to build a relationship with the customers that's going to make them feel more connected to us and to the flowers and to the farm. It's going to be a reason for them to come to the roadside stand. It's a reason for them to want to like come to the farm, to care more about what the farm's doing and what's happening. The roadside stand doesn't actually have any access to the farm because of how our property is laid out. You can't see the farm at all from the road.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why the landscaping in the front was so important to us.
Somebody's asking you about expanding the stand, and we do have ideas in the future, like more long term, about doing something different. The building as it is going to stay as it is, because it's smaller than needs to be. If it gets too much larger, then it has to be permitted, and right now it doesn't need permits, so it's going to kind of stay like that. But what we are going to do is right next to it, we're going to bring in the fence, kind of like a 10 by 10 little chunk of fence. We're going to bring back onto our property so that we can put some shelving and some other displays, and we will have another sellable space right next to the roadside stand, facing the road, where we can put in like nursery type plants. We're talking about selling different things at different times of year, but like we put out some tomato plants last year, just that we had an excess, and they sold like hotcakes. So we haven't really tried too much else, selling in that sort of way, but we feel like that,
that has a lot of potential.
it has a lot of potential, and the amount of work that it'll take to kind of like get set up like that, very minimal. It's very minimal, and I feel like it will be like very beneficial to the sales of the flowers themselves, like the bouquets, because for one, it gets more people pulling over, more people aware of the bouquets that we're selling, and it's just easier to do an upsell when somebody's there, right? So if you're there to buy a tomato plant, you might walk out with a beautiful bouquet for some particular occasion, and then what we've noticed is that the sales as we go along in the summer, that we do have like a lot of repeat customers, and so the earlier we can get people buying stuff, the more time that we have to switch them over into a regular customer. And so if in the start of the year when nursery sales are the largest, we're already making people aware of our existence and the flowers that we sell, then that just gives us that much more time to recruit a customer that will be a repeat customer. And so we can switch everybody into repeat customer mode by June instead of by August, then that's just that'll really do good things for us as well, right? So just more people pulling over, more reasons to pull over, it'll just be more sales for us, and there's no risk. There's no risk at all, because it's like
and that's kind of like the focus, right? Like the low risk
and the
stuff.
long-term profitable, because there's the market, whether it's like, oh, we're such big timers with our farm and our YouTube that we don't need to go down and do these markets anymore. It's like, we're going to pay someone to do that. Well, there's a cost, and it's like they're still going to have hundreds of dollars in what is it, like three man days that we figured to do a market.
Yeah, and I was talking about that.
And then the rental fee, whether it's us doing that or us paying someone to do that, that's always going to be the reality of that market. And so it's always going to have that limitation. And the roadside stand, it doesn't have that limitation. It actually can be quite profitable, because we don't have to be there to sell the product. We don't have to be watching over it. Maybe if we're selling at the nursery, maybe people are going to be buzzing us more to come up and help them out. But that's fine, because that's just dealing with a customer at the time of sale. It's not,
and even
having
then,
to stand there when
the amount of people who are going to do that is going to be a tiny percentage.
Yeah.
And so there's questions in here, because there is some confusion about what you're talking about. So we used to do a big seedling sale, and then we stopped doing it because it didn't work. And the reason why it didn't work is because it took so many man hours, right? Like the amount of labor it was to sell the stuff, it didn't matter what what the volumes of stuff was selling. It's just it was too much. And when we started doing them having to like pre-buy and put in their order and using local line, that made a huge difference, but not enough of a difference. Because the other thing about tomato seedlings is, like the fresh flowers, they're a perishable product.
Yeah.
Seedlings only hold in their like seedling trays for like 2 weeks, right? So tomatoes, you get a little bit of a longer season out of it, but like a lettuce seedling, when it's ready, you have to plant it, or else it's gonna go bad. And so we had a lot of stuff that went to waste, that even though we made good money on the ones we sold, the math didn't math.
It was tough. Yeah.
So when Ian says we put out some tomato plants, what he's talking about, so we
just leftovers.
Yeah, we grew, like, this year we had like 200 tomato plants planted just for us. There was like 100 cherry tomatoes and 100 full-size tomatoes. That was just like for us to enjoy. But we also host like a seedling starting like day for our local garden club. They do a big seedling sale on Mother's Day. And so, like, it's so little work for me to start up a tray of tomato seedlings. I like started up 1,000 baby tomatoes, and then when they all came, we potted up whatever they wanted. And then there was stuff left over. There was the stuff that I started for me, and there was more than I needed. There was stuff left over from what we did with Garden Club. And Nellie was like, Serina, just like pot these up. Just pot these and sell these.
But it was
It's
like
gonna...
June.
Well, she was like, let's just do it. We're just gonna do it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So we potted them up. It took like, between the two of us, took half a day. We did it. And then they sat there growing, and like, I just forgot about them. I ignored them. I had no real plan for them. Nellie just was like, Serina, don't let these go to waste. And then she was like, Serina, these plants, like, you have to sell these. These are going to waste. And so she's like, just put them at the stand. Just do whatever. And so we put them up at the stand, and like within, like, there was like a couple hundred of them. There was like 200 of them or something. And like, we just put like a rack out there, and I made some signs and laminated them saying like what they were. And then for that whole week, it was just like, oh my God, there's so much money in the stand. I was like, where's all this money coming from? And then I was like, oh yeah, that tomato rack is like empty, right? Like, and it was beginning of June, and that's the period of time when no one's buying. Like, it's not like, that's like end of season. Like, you can't find them anymore. It's very late. Most people in Kelowna will buy like beginning of May is kind of the seedling.
May 24 is when you're supposed to. Everybody's like, oh, by then you can plant them, so nobody's waiting too much.
Well, no, like May 24 is like the latest.
Yeah, but that's like everybody's got them in the ground by then.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that we had them out so late and they still did well was really encouraging. And we didn't even get a single phone call about them. Got to the end when there was just like some weird random ones that like no one wanted, and I don't some of them didn't sell.
Yeah, but most, like, they sold really well for a while.
Yeah, like I think they were out there and they were like kind of sad and bad, and someone was like, hey, like, what are these? And I think I just like gave them away to someone. But yeah, we got rid of like almost all of them, and so that encouraged us to think about the seedling sale. But we're not, and we are going to be willing to do some veggies, but the main thing that we're going to want to be focusing on is more like perennials. We're going to be, and flowers. We're going to be more focused on things that that aren't perishable, stuff that can be in a pot. It can be bought any time of the year, right? It can be there out all summer, all fall. And then if it doesn't sell, it just gets like tucked away, and then it comes back out the next year.
We're at the point too now where we can figure out what makes money and what doesn't make money. So we're not investing in ideas or plants that we can't make money on. And
Team Veggie, we're back.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have an area at the bottom of the farm. It's just like a landscape fabric area where
nursery,
where we can have overstock of all the stuff. So we just have to merchandise a bit out there at a time.
And the purpose of that is because you have to water everything here. Nothing survives without water. And so the farm is on automated irrigation. If we have the pots in this area, we won't have to water them. Like, we won't.
Yeah, but anything out at the roadside, it'll have to be watered quite thoroughly because it's one of the hottest spots on the farm and one of the driest spots on the farm. So, any pot up there has to be, every day it has to have attention to it in the summer. And so just limiting the amount that we put out there, it'll change, I'm sure, with the season. And I think it can be really just no-brainer positive attribute for the farm, right? And we have to build, these like small little bits of the farm up and invest in the farm, the on-farm sales, because that's ultimately, where we can make money. It doesn't matter if you have an idea and you can make, $10,000 on some idea and it's going to cost you $5,000. There's another idea where you can make $20,000, but it's going to cost you $18,000. The easier, smaller one might be the better idea. Sometimes it might be the more profitable idea for you, the better business. And
or if your business costs you $1 and it makes you $1,000, but it also takes you 1,000 hours. Maybe there's better ways. You could be, a better way to be spending your time.
Yep.
You know,
I'm
it's
gonna
getting
get,
that balance.
I'm gonna get going because I'm gonna go up and interact with kids more.
Okay.
I wanted to come back down and say hello because I had
Okay.
to run away there because the kids were poorly informed about what time we were supposed to leave for
You
the
went
skating.
in reassured.
Yeah.
And then I'll stay and I'll do some more questions. I'll stay for like another half an hour and do questions because you're fine to drive the kids.
Yep. Bye, everybody. Yeah, so it's at 7:30.
Yeah. But like...
Go early.
Yeah.
So I can get their skates on.
Yeah, exactly. Because they only have an hour for skating.
Because we're Canadian, we do ice skating.
Is this... Do you see what I mean? Right?
Oh, yeah, it's
Is that just from you leaning on it?
I don't
and
think
breaking
so.
it?
No, that would be like... Because I couldn't do that in a short amount of time.
Ian breaks chairs. This chair is supposed to be like this. He doesn't believe me that he breaks chairs. But it is a child's chair, so I suppose. Okay, so I'll do questions. Let's see. What would the cost be of a 3-inch annual plant potted from a plug tray? And what would the market command in your area? Yeah, I mean, so sometimes like the annuals, so this is, I'm like, Ian's truck. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Ian's like, truck is driving. Ian has a backup beeper on his truck. Yeah. Okay. So when I think about going back to the seedling sale, like again, there's definitely things that I learned from doing the seedling sales in previous that I would bring to the new way of doing it at the roadside stand. The first thing that I learned is that that having like specialty, like the idea with our old seedling sale was we had specialty tomatoes so that it would bring in people who were looking for those specialty tomatoes to try to be a reason to get people to come to the farm and to buy their seedlings from us instead of going to like one of these other convenient places. So that was like my thinking with the before. We used to have like so many varieties of tomatoes. We're like, oh, we have like, every like type of tomato you could imagine, all stuff that you can't find anywhere else, unique. We used to get like a bunch of tomato seeds from Wild Boar Farms, like amazing. I still love their stuff. That's where we got a pink Berkeley tie-dye, which I like is the best tasting tomato ever. Like just yeah. Check it out if you're looking to buy tomatoes. They have great stuff. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, sweet, awesome. Like this will like do well. And then every year at the end of the sale, it was like the weird stuff that was left. It was like people mostly just wanted the traditional stuff. People would be like, I want heirloom tomato. And I'm like, yeah, like I have like 40 different type of heirloom tomatoes. Which heirloom tomato do you want? And they're like, no, I just want heirloom. And I'm like, I'm like, that's not a thing. But it was representative of what people were looking for. They're like, no, I just want like a really tasty tomato. And they were like, I was like, oh, what is an heirloom? What is heirloom tomato? And then they describe a tomato, and then I'd be like, okay, this one matches your description. People wanted like a red delicious. They wanted like a big beefsteak. They want big beef that like sold super well. They want a red cherry tomato. They want sun gold, an orange cherry tomato. Everyone wants like a low acid tomato. So by having so many varieties of tomatoes, instead of actually making it so I sold more tomatoes, I just made it more difficult for myself to sell tomatoes. So the lesson from that is like less is more. So when growing tomatoes for like this coming season, I'll have a red cherry tomato and I'll have sun gold. I'm not going to have like a million different cherry tomatoes, but cherry tomatoes sell super well here. So I'll make sure to have lots of them. I'll have 100 red cherry tomatoes and 100 sun gold. And then I'll do like Juliet. Everyone loves Juliet. It's like the mini Roma. If I run out of the red cherry tomato, I can sell people the Juliet. If I'll do a Roma. People really want Roma tomatoes. I'll do a paste tomato, a single one. I'll label it like Roma. And if I run out of that, then I could offer the Juliet, vice versa. I will do like a big beef, a red tomato. I will do like a heirloom tomato. I'll do like ox heart. Or I'll do, what's the brand? I'll do brandy wine, right? Like, and then I'll label it heirloom tomato, brandy wine, heirloom tomato. I will do one orange or yellow tomato and I'll label it low acid, right? Instead of having all these options, I'll have lots of just the one, so that it is going to make it so it's more likely that I won't have to do any customer service, right? Because it's all going to be self-serve up at the stand. If I have like 100 different tomato varieties up there, people are going to be like, I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I don't know what's what. They're going to have questions. If I have red tomato or yellow tomato, people will be like, oh, well, I want one of each, or just one, or I want cherry tomato, right? It makes it so much easier for the customers. And the easier it is for the customers, the more likely they are to buy. The other thing that I'm thinking we'll do, but I haven't really figured it out yet exactly how I'm going to go about things, is that in order to make it easier I'm like looking at this chair that it's like slowly sitting back up. It's from him like leaning back on it. Okay, eucalyptus. I'll talk about that next because I have that. Oh, okay. Well, you know me. How am I going to choose? How am I going to control myself? I'm not. I'm going to buy everything, but I'll be like, just for me. And then I'll start just for the roadside stand. And I'll be like, but then I have one of everything for me, and then like 100 of only 5 for the roadside stand. Okay. So the other thing I want to do for the roadside stand is I want to make pricing really simple, because pricing gets really complicated. So what I'm thinking of doing is having each size of pot have one standardized price, right? So before it would be like, oh, tomatoes are, oh, sorry. It would be like, oh, tomatoes are this much money, and like this lettuce is this much money, and this is this much money, and this is this much money. Different things have different prices, which makes sense because some things are a lot more difficult to grow. And so then even though they're tiny, like a eucalyptus, right? A eucalyptus in a like 2-inch pot needs to be infinitely more money than like a lettuce in a 2-inch pot, because the 2-inch eucalyptus is going to be grown out for 4 months to get to that size. And it's a specialty product that you can't buy anywhere. It has a premium price. Whereas like the lettuce seed is easy and fast. So what I'm thinking of doing is if it's in this pot, it's going to be this much money. And then instead of being like, oh, this is the pot I would grow it in, I need to ask myself, what is the price that I want for this product? If it needs to be this much money, then maybe I don't put it in this specific pot, which is going to be priced at this standardized price. Or the other thing that I've thought about is, who's the company? It's not Farmer's Friend. It's the company who sells like seedling trays, and they do like the knockoff wind strips, and they sell like pots and like trays and everything. They're always like advertised to me on social media. I don't know. I can't remember, but they had colored pots. It was like, ooh, look at our color collection. You can get them in like a million different colors. And I was like, that would work great for, yeah, that's it. I think Bootstrap Farmer. I think that's the company. And they have like, so they have like the 2.5-inch pots, but they come in like 10 different colors, and they have a 4-inch pot too, and it comes in all the colors. Or they have like the 6-pack. And I was like, okay, I could buy these and then have like, oh, my eucalyptus, which would be in the smaller pot. Or we're talking about maybe selling some Lisianthus, buying in some, because we have eucalyptus coming, we have Lisianthus coming. We could pot it up, grow it out, and then sell it, and then there can be my specialty item, right? Like you can't buy Lisianthus seedlings at the local nurseries, right? Like you can't buy that anywhere. So it would be like, oh, we have something that no one else has. It's a reason to come to the roadside stand. And then we could pot those into a colored pot, and we could be like, anything in the green pots is this much money. But yeah, so rather than thinking about pricing, because I'm rambling, but the question was about like, how am I going to come up with pricing? I'm more thinking about like how to make the pricing easy for the customers. And then there's another thing, paper pots, right? So in the last year that we did the seedling sale, we did the everything in paper pots, right? We made handmade newspaper pots with and I love them. They work great. They're amazing, but they cost a ton of money. They cost exponentially more money than plastic pots. We did it because we didn't want to be creating all this plastic waste. But the reality is no one is willing to pay for what it costs to use these paper pots. Everyone was like, we needed to sell them for at least $5 or $6 to cover how expensive it was to grow the plants, right? I had a number. I knew how much it cost me to grow them. I knew what I had to sell them for, and people weren't willing to pay that much for them. So the reality is I can't do paper pots. That it's yet again something that involves customer service. It's not obvious what's going on when they're in these weird paper things. Same with the soil blocks. It has to be I have to build the seedling sale for customer expectations rather than teaching my customers what our specific seedling sale is if I want it to be a self-serve seedling sale. So, I'll put a garbage can out there and offer pot recycling. People, if they want to bring them back, I'll take them back. I'll put in the effort to wash them and reuse them. But yeah, I'm gonna have to use plastic pots. That's just where we're at because it's not a big enough scale. And then the other thing too is a lot of what we're going to be selling, because I'm only going to do a very small amount of these veggies because the veggies are perishable, like I was saying, right? They only last for a few weeks. So the majority of the things that I'm going to be selling is going to be stuff that is in bigger pots that won't need to be watered as much. The small pots, I'm going to have to be up there watering them 3 times a day in the spring. So by the time the summer heat hits, it's going to be impossible to keep these things alive up there. So I'm going to be prioritizing perennials in 1-gallon pots. We have about 1,000 1-gallon pots on hand, ready to use. It's going to bring the maintenance down for me. It's going to be, stuff that will happily live in a 1-gallon pot for years and years if it needs to before it sells. And then I am going to be a lot more focused on perennial plants that are cold hardy and drought tolerant. I'm going to be focusing on the things that we focus on with the farm. And it's going to be less of a veggie sale. There's obviously going to be a veggie component to it in the spring. But the main focus is going to be more for people with flower gardens, because the one thing that we found the main reason why we stopped doing the veggie sale, because we were the seedling sale was the veggie sale. We were okay, we're making a lot of money at this. It's not covering how much work it is, but we could have kept building it. It had potential, but the one thing that made it so we were like, we need to stop is that the customers who bought from us for the seedling sale never came back to the farm again. They only bought for the seedling sale. So we were doing the seedling sale in hopes of building, kind of like a lost leader. You bring, like what Ian was saying, the earlier we get the people to the roadside stand, the more weeks that we have to sell them a bouquet. So the idea with the seedling sale was, okay, we get people to the farm early in the spring before we have any veggies, and we're like, hey, we're like a veggie farm, come back to us for our veggies. But none of those customers had any interest in supporting us as a farm. They only wanted to support us as a seedling sale in the spring. The year after we quit doing the seedling sale, so the first year that we didn't do it, and then again like this year, I think, or maybe this was like the third year. No, I think, yeah. So this year I would get messages of people being like, oh, like what's going on? Like, what about your seedling sale? And I was like, oh, we've chosen, instead of doing the seedling sale, to focus on like farm product so that we can get things earlier in the season. Because basically what we did instead of the seedling sale is tulips, right? Like we're like insane, super busy with tulips. We had no time to do tulips when we were insanely busy doing the seedling sale. It's like you can only pick one. You only have so many hours. There's only so much you can do. And so we got rid of the seedling sale and we did tulips instead. We started with, flowers way earlier, and it was hugely successful. But we'd get all these messages from people being like, hey, like your seedling sale, what's going on? I want to like buy seedlings from you. And I was like, oh, sorry, we're not doing a seedling sale anymore. Instead, we're focusing on the farm so that we can get farm products earlier. And consistently, like every single person was like, what are you talking about? Your farm? And I'm like, yeah, we're like a veggie and flower farm. Like we sell like, this is our season. They're like, I had no idea. They're like, I only bought seedlings from you, right? Like none of those people ever came back to the farm. So I know that the veggie customers, the person who comes and buys some tomato plants from us, amazing in the fact that, we can quickly and easily get some money. But those customers aren't necessarily going to be coming back to buy flowers from the roadside stand. So if the thing about gardeners, because we've had all these conversations, a lot of the people who buy fresh flowers from us are people who love flowers, and people who love flowers in their yard as well as flowers in their home. But if you love having flowers in your yard, you're not necessarily going to want to pick all the flowers out of your yard and bring them into your home. You want them in both places. So there is potential overlap of people who will buy flowering plants and also people who will buy like fresh cut flowers. And so the hope is, when someone pulls over to get a bouquet, maybe they'll pick up a plant, right? It'll be an add-on sale, or someone drives by, sees the plant, they'll buy the plants. When they come and pick up some tomato plants, let's say, they'll pop their head into the roadside stand and be like, oh, there's like these beautiful fresh flowers in here. I never knew when I drove by that this is like what they had at the farm. And then the other thing too is, if you, because so much of our focus has been on the farmers market, it's been our number one focus. It's been eating up a ton of our time, between the farmers market and then like the videos. It just hasn't left a lot of hours in the day to be able to do other things in our business. So we're hoping with like kind of taking some focus away from the farmers markets, like definitely we're still going to do the farmers markets in the spring, but maybe like not doing them in the summer when there's like 10 other farms that are selling flowers, and the sales, like we don't sell as much in the summer. Maybe if instead of going to the markets during that time, we give more focus to the roadside stand, we could do things like do a flower installation like what we did like after the forest fires, which would draw more attention to the stand. We could host events on the farm. You know, as it is right now, like Saturdays are the days to do events. You know, we'll have some time to be able to do those sort of things. So, you know, I'm excited about next year. I'm excited about seeing like trying a few things. You know, seeing if we can make some changes that have the chance to improve things. I'm looking, reading back on all the comments here. Because I know that there was like some stuff that I missed. Oh, price stickers. So the problem, you would think that price stickers would make things really obvious, but I don't think price stickers are obvious enough. I think as obvious as having a price on a pot would be, it still has the potential for confusion. You know, it's kind of like, so in the roadside stand, we have $20 bouquets and $40 bouquets that we do. When we had issues with people taking the $40 bouquets and paying $20 for them, because even though they're like way bigger, and even though we had signs and they were in different parts of the stand, you know, it makes sense, right? It's not instantly obvious. You know, like I used to be like a flower bouquet, and then extra large bouquet is how I labeled it. And then what I did this year was I got the tissue paper, and then the new way they're done in the stand is I have the flower bouquets that are $20, and then I have tissue bouquets, which are $40, or on the holidays we do bigger ones and make them $50. And so the tissue bouquets, you can clearly see the tissue. The tissue makes it very distinct between the two, and then they're labeled as a tissue bouquet, not a large bouquet. So then as soon as I did that, there was never confusion again. So like I know, right? Like you have to, even though having price stickers would make it obvious for like the majority of people, you know, you have to build it so that even the most distracted customers will instantly and easily know how to shop the stand. So, and then the other thing about price stickers is it's just wet and dirty. So price stickers would be getting damaged all the time. So it would be really hard to be able to consistently keep the price stickers nice and clean. Let's see. Oh, the CSA. That's a great, because everyone always is like, Serina, you need to do a CSA. Serina, you need to do a CSA. So the reason why we will never do a CSA is because a CSA is actually infinitely more work than what we're currently doing. We currently offer a CSA. We offer a CSA that is one bouquet a month for the entire season. We offer a CSA that is one bouquet a week for the entire season. We offer a spring CSA, we offer summer CSA, we offer fall CSA, we offer a glad CSA. If you like glads during the entire glad season, like you can get a glad bouquet every week. And no one has to prepay for it, and I don't have to do any sort of communication about it, because what it is it's just a self-serve roadside stand. Right? Like no one has to be like, I'm on holidays, so I need to like delay my weekly bouquet. No one has to be like, oh, Thursday pickup doesn't work for me. I prefer Monday morning. The roadside stand services those CSA, like the people who would want a CSA, the roadside stand services them without me having to do anything. So we'll never do a CSA because the roadside stand is built to take away all the inconveniences of a CSA, but have like all the benefits of it. But one thing that we will do, I'm hoping we get it organized, is I would like to, because as it is right now, the stand we do cash or e-transfer. And like here in CANT, like I know down in the States, you guys use like Venmo a lot. Like you guys don't do e-transfer, but e-transfer is like it's a like very like everyone does e-transfer in Canada. No one's questioning the e-transfer thing. But if we made it so that we could take cards, that would increase our average sale for sure, and it would also make things like more convenient for people, right? It would be like, oh, if someone came planning to get a $20 bouquet, let's say they had a 20 in their pocket, but then they get in there and they actually they'd like the $40 bouquet, the person who came with only a 20 wouldn't be able to buy it. But if we took cards, then they could. So I want to get like a tablet because we have internet right up there. It's like so close to our house that there's no issues for internet. So I'd like to get a tablet and then like a self-serve checkout with tap type setup for it. And then the other thing that is great about when you do that, like a bunch of farms have systems like that, is you can have them sign, like part of the checkout process could be like, oh, do you want to join our email list? And so if I build a farm customer email list, then we could be like, oh, we're having a sale, send out like a message, be like, oh, like, you know, the ranunculus started blooming. Don't forget to check out the stand. Or last week of peonies. Like, you know, we can send out regular messages to our customers, and that yet again would be building the relationship with the roadside stand. That would be like, you know, something that is in that us failing at marketing aspect of the roadside stand that could lead to it getting a lot more business. Okay, eucalyptus. I said I was going to talk about this. So the plan, and this is full circle. This is back to the title of the video. Vacation mode. So the plan. Okay, so my 2024 goal is to get better work-life balance, which is part of the reason why I'm excited to do a few less markets, just to get. That's interesting to me. The like you not seeing us and then YouTube. Yeah, okay, sorry. Distracted by the chat. Eucalyptus. Okay. Vacation mode. So the farm, so when we flipped to doing flowers instead of veggies, the farm started to be a lot more work. Veggies, so the earliest that we started veggies was beginning of March. The very first thing that we started then was tomatoes and peppers, peppers. I do peppers and onions at the beginning of March. And then tomatoes, March 15th was the date for starting tomatoes. So it actually got like a really good, like we had like 3 months off, right? And when the farm would end for the season, it would be like, oh, okay, we went to like Halloween, end of October was like when we'd be like, okay, that's like when the season ends. Then we'd easy cleanup, like the cleanup was fast. It wasn't like, oh, we have to plant 15,000 tulip bulbs and like we need to dig up dahlias and you know all the work that you have to do for flower farming. There's a lot more for flower farming at the end of the season than there is for veggie growing. So going into flowers, it made it so the season, you know, like you need all of November to get the farm prepped. With flowers, you know, it's like, oh, now you got this Christmas season, you could do these evergreens, right? Like we very easily could work until January. And then with flowers, if we were going to be growing all of our own seedlings, so like Lisianthus and Eucalyptus, that kind of stuff, they would have to be started like by now, right? Like Lisianthus, Eucalyptus, we would have wanted to start it kind of like beginning of December in order to have it ready to be planted out for beginning of March, which is when we plant them. But I would, yeah, exactly. Recipe for burnout. And the other thing too is like we're tired. We're all like this year was better than last year. But like it's a long season, right? Like we like it's nice to be able to like take a break. Because the other thing is that by this time of year, usually we're getting too tired and we're like, like exactly what happened this year. The farm, there's all these things that need to get done for the farm for the end of season. And so we need to eventually like take focus off of the YouTube just to buy time for the farm because we're fighting against Canadian weather deadlines. So, almost every year we start making less videos at this time of year. We also, there's less, like in the gardening genre of YouTube, there's less views at this time of year. Kind of November, December starts to be very much like Christmas season, and it's like a very low time on YouTube for this type of content. So it's a little bit frustrating to like be like, oh, I worked really hard. Oh, I was like, I struggled. I worked outside all day and then I came in and I worked all night and I got this video made and then I put it out and then it does really poorly. And it's like, oh, my tears that I don't actually feel sorry for myself about. But so it's like, I don't feel super bad to be putting out a little bit less videos at this time to get the farm done because I know that there's less demand for the videos anyways. And then this is a classic Serina answer because what I'm answering a question about eucalyptus. I'm getting there. the backstory, right? Yeah. So back when we did veggies, it was great because we'd be able to make all this like content in like December, January, February, which like, I'd save up all these ideas that would be videos that would be a little bit more complicated to do over the quieter time of the year. And it really helps the channel, right? So it's nice to be able to take some time to focus on the YouTube and not on the farm. So we do still want that holiday season. So because of that, with doing the flowers, what we've decided to do is we're going to invest more and more into plugs, right? We're going to buy in more things rather than growing them ourselves. First of all, because like we like having lights and like having, it's like all the like having lights and racks and indoor growing and all this equipment that we have is great, but it's not actually great. It's like getting through. It's like a bootstrapping solution. To grow really great seedlings, you really want like a heated greenhouse to grow like really high quality seedlings. You want sunlight. And here in Canada, because it's so dark, if you want to be growing some of these things like at their best, you also need supplemental light. you need like a major greenhouse infrastructure, you need heat, you need like lighting infrastructure, all this stuff to get like really good quality seedlings. And like it doesn't make sense for me to do that. When you do all those numbers, it makes a lot more sense just to buy in these seedlings. So we are like forever, we will never grow Lysianthus ourselves. So for this year, we ordered them from Ball, and I'm really excited. I spent a little bit of extra money by like dividing up my delivery dates on the Lysianthus. So I have a clump of Lysianthus plugs coming at the beginning of March, and then because I don't have like 20 trays coming, I only have 10 trays coming. If the weather's like really cold, it's really problematic, and I can't plant them out, I will have enough space that I can pot them up. So they will hopefully struggle less. Or I can plant them out and like baby them a little bit, whereas it would be harder for me to baby having all of them at once. And then a few weeks later, I have a second order of of the Lysianthus coming. And I've ordered some other plugs from Ball too. I need to look at I need to like start making a calendar for like dates. I need like week 1 is coming. I need to get ready. But yeah, so we ordered in Snapdragons last year to experiment with, and I wasn't super happy with Snapdragon plugs for the amount of work that it is. Like, I'm happy to just grow Snapdragons. But stock, I'm bringing in. Oh, thanks so much, Lisa. I like the little, like, the flower hedge guy. That's cute. Yeah. So stock, we're ordering stock again. Yeah. And then the earliest thing that I have coming is eucalyptus. This is okay. Now we're getting to the eucalyptus. So I don't have any eucalyptus seeds, because like I said, if I wanted to grow eucalyptus from seed, I'd have to start it like already. It would already have to be started. I would have had to like get a plant babysitter when we went away on our vacation. So I think I have it coming in mid-February. I think February 15th is, but maybe it's February 1st. Is when I have the eucalyptus coming. And I didn't want anything else that early, because the problem is it has to get potted up. I won't be able to plant it out. And the eucalyptus was in 200 plug trays, and the 200 trays are 4 to a case. And so when you order in plugs, it's the shipping that's like super expensive. So you definitely want to fill those cases. So I was like, well, I want all this eucalyptus, not because I'm going to grow eucalyptus for cut flowers. I've decided that it doesn't make any sense for me to sell eucalyptus grown by me. If I need eucalyptus, I should just buy it from a wholesaler, because it makes a lot more sense to like, I can't grow eucalyptus for the price that I would pay to purchase it from a wholesaler. It's cheaper for me to buy it from a wholesaler than it is for me to grow it. But there is a huge demand for eucalyptus. Here, someone's saying like, oh, I killed my houseplant eucalyptus. Like, a lot of people want a eucalyptus plant. They want it like, even if it's only going to be for the summer, they want it like in a pot. They'll have it like on their table outside. Eucalyptus is like very popular. People really want it, and you can't get it. And you can sell them for a lot of money. I think I had a friend who, she was growing, because she gave me a couple of eucalyptus. I think she sold them in a 4-inch pot for $25. And she like sold, people were like, oh my God, I want them all. Yeah, and they were selling around Mother's Day, right? Like, a lot of people bought them as like Mother's Day gifts. They're the type of thing that at Mother's Day, like, I could put them into like a decorative pot even, and then sell them like more like as like a gift, not as like a seedling. So I bought in an entire case of eucalyptus. I have 800 eucalyptus coming, which is way too many eucalyptus. I do not need that many. I want like 200, 400 maybe, because it starts to be a space constraint. Because I'd probably pot them into the 2-inch pots, and you can get 18 of those into a tray, and I can fit 20 trays onto a rack. So like 400 like eucalyptus would already like fill an entire rack. But I bought 800 because I knew that once I had it, I could like talk to all my flower farm friends and be like, hey, who wants 100 eucalyptus plants for like the price that I paid for them? And then I'll be able to like pawn off all the ones that I don't want, and then be able to have cheaper shipping and they ship a lot better too, right? When you have like a half empty box, they like bounce around in the mail, but if the box is full, so that's my eucalyptus story. I have lots of eucalyptus coming. I know that I'll get like suckered in. I'll have them and then I'll be like, oh, I have them. I might as well plant them. And then I'll probably throw some into the greenhouse. But I don't know. I mean, they need a lot of heat. They don't grow very well. But they like the front of the property, the road side up there is like it's so hot. Um, my I had the scented geranium and it grew like super, super good up at the front of the road, and I hadn't been able to ever grow it very well. So maybe if I throw some eucalyptus up along the road, maybe it would grow really good, and then I could cut like when the end of the season comes, I can cut it down and have like, for Thanksgiving, have eucalyptus in the bouquets, because that would be exciting. I like the eucalyptus too. Like I had like some baby eucalyptus and they fit really nicely into these like ornaments and they looked really good. So I would like some eucalyptus. Oh, sorry, variety, because that was like one of the main things. So Silver Dollar, I think, is the variety that I ordered. But I also, which is like classic, right? Like that's the one, and then it comes out. Or Baby Blue. Baby Blue is like the classic. But I think I got Silver Dollar. But I also like Silver Drop, that like they kind of like come off the side a little bit more. It's really pretty and it's supposed to have like the nice smell. But yeah, any of those silver ones, the Baby Blue, all of that, like they're all good. Like all eucalyptus. The only one, like there are some that like look like a willow leaf. And they have a lemon scent. I would say like I don't know that I would want to do something like that, because I think that it would start to be like less desirable. But okay. Yeah. So plugs have to be potted up pretty much immediately. And I think that's like, because this will be now our third year getting plugs. And I think that's kind of like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned. Because my goal is to learn how to grow Lysianthus properly. And I didn't quite get there this year. In the first year of getting the plugs, we held them longer than I should have before getting them in the ground, and they were also a lot more root bound when I got them than the plugs that I got this last year were. And because they were so root bound, they really suffered. And then Lysianthus are also heavy feeders. So in the first year, I didn't do any fertilizing. But in the second, like in this year, I fertilized them and then they did a lot better. But the other thing that I learned from the eucalyptus, too many plants in my brain. The thing that I learned for the Lysianthus this year, plant them out right away, even if it's cold. My friend, she's like, I'm like, oh yeah, she's so good. What's Backyard Busy Blooms is her flower farm. She grows like just in her backyard. Her and her sister and her mom, they all grow in their yard. Amazing business. They're like in Kelowna. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. But she's always like, Serina, like, what are you doing? You just need to do this. She always like, she's smarter than me. But she's like, what you need to do with your Lysianthus is if it's cold, you plant them into the ground and then put frost cloth on the ground on top of the seedlings. Because the Lysianthus, when they come, they're like tiny, like they're so small. Because I don't like using low tunnels here on the farm. Oh, thanks so much, Jennifer. The stickers, they entertain me so much. Yeah, okay, frost cloth. So I don't like using low tunnels on the farm because they heat up too quickly. My problem here in the spring is it's not even like, yeah, we'll get cold nights, but like the days also like heat up really fast. So the low tunnels are just really, really difficult to open them up in time to be able to have them not cook things inside of it. So I'm just like, I've killed things too many times with low tunnels, and it's so much work that I'd rather focus on things that can be just purely field grown, or grow them in a high tunnel where like I don't have to stress so much about venting. so I've been like really reluctant to get the frost cloth and to use the frost cloth because it's the same idea kind of as the low tunnels. You put it over and then it can hold in like, you know, it holds in heat at night. It's like a nice insulating layer, but it also can like cook things in the day during the day. But my friend, she's like, no, don't do it as a tunnel, just lay it on the ground. And so because it's laid on the ground, there's no pocket of air to heat up, right? Because that's the problem with the tunnels. I'm like, I need props, right? Okay, so this basket is like, you know, you put it out there and it like cooks and it cooks and it cooks. And then the problem is like the air inside here gets super, super hot, right? But if it's just like this is the ground and then you just like lay a blanket over top of it, there's it's going to protect from the cold a little bit, and it's going to actually protect from the heat a little bit, but you're not going to have the same pocket, right? The ground, the cold in the ground is going to keep the temperature more stable during the day in the same way that the warmth in the ground is going to be held in like nicely at ground level. So yeah. So I'm really excited about that, right? Because she's like, put them in the ground. They're so small. They grow so slowly. They will be fine just having the fabric laid right on top of it. And she's like, it's going to be the exact same with like your ranunculus and your anemones, all those things. You can just like, cause it also will give it some like shade, right? When you first put those things out in the field, it's a lot of sun. They need a little bit of shade anyways. And we have the shade cloth on our tunnels, so I'm less worried about that. But she's like, yeah, no, just like cloth straight on the ground, lays down super fast, picks up super fast. And you can just put it in place, leave it and forget about it. And come back a week later, pull it off, and you're ready to go. It'll keep the moisture like really nicely in place. Just really, really smart, really smart thinking. One of those things where it's like, how did I never think of that? But yeah, so like with the plugs, you know, we're gonna get in the frost cloth. You know, I need to order it like after the holiday season. Get into my farm store, order the frost cloth, have it on hand. And then yeah, just make sure that those plugs get planted as soon as they come in. And if they're not, then at very least I need to pot them up into something. And that's another thing that I'm going to be prepping this year too. I'm going to be filling up a bunch of seedling trays with like just soil ready to go. Just have like stacks of them so that, you know, it's just water them and go. Just like that one step, it'll just make spring a little bit faster. I'm gonna get Ian to do me up get my Swift blocker tool, which I love. So excited about the 200 size blocks that are so fast. I'm gonna get him to pre-block a bunch for me. So you do the blocks. We use just potting soil. We don't do anything. No magic potions for soil blocks for us. Just potting soil. We let them dry out. And then when I go to use them, I just top water them, get them really wet, and then you know, then they're good to go. So it'll be nice. We'll spend like a couple days making things dirty out here in February, and then March and April will be just a little bit easier. We have a little bit of cleaning to do out here because I'm literally surrounded by a mountain. Okay, there was one other question that I saw kind of put in there again, and then I'm gonna go unless like a new question comes up in the chat. So we were talking about the Christmas ornaments and shipping them. You know, we got these boxes that I'm super excited about, and so one of the things that we've been really reluctant about for like shipping anything is that shipping is really expensive in Canada. Down in the States, the shipping is a lot cheaper than it is here. But the one thing that I've started to think about a little bit when it comes to these like Christmas ornaments, you know, and other products that are kind of similar, something that like ships nicely, is that, so I think a lot of the people who want to buy stuff from us are actually in the States. You know, obviously, like a bunch of you guys, like I appreciate Canada, right? Like Canadian content. I'm always like, you know, my sources are Canadian. Like I hope that we're helpful for all of our Canadian friends. But the majority of the messages that I have from people asking about like selling the Christmas ornaments are coming from people who are down in the States. And so our shipping is expensive, but when you factor in exchange um, for between the Canadian and the American dollar, I think that that makes the shipping cost a little bit more reasonable. So like you know we need $10 per ornament for these. But that means that technically we're selling them for like $7 USD. So yeah, so I think that when I start to think about things in other currencies, you know, right? Like I can't afford like these. Like I have to sell them for the price that I have to sell them at. They cost me what they cost me, and I can't afford to sell these for less than $10. Which is a little bit pricier than some other like people, like other Canadians. Like I've seen them at craft fairs, like other, you know, they're an obvious product, right? Doing the Christmas ornament, and people sell them for like $5. I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. I'm assuming that like maybe your math, maybe you haven't figured out how long it takes to stuff things inside of these little ornaments. But we are pretty competitive against like the American prices. And then it's the same, right? Like, because this is the thing. When I like order something from the States to here, it costs me $1 million American. And then that makes it like $8 million Canadian with the exchange. But yeah, so I need to go do some pricing. These are the boxes that I got. Because like I figured they'd look nice for the ornaments. I have like tissue and stuff too, and we have like a stamp. I couldn't find one of like the gift packs. But yeah, so I figure like the ornaments they'd ship really nicely in these boxes. I bought a box that was a little bit heavier weight cardboard so that it would be strong for shipping. It has good strength on the sidewalls. So to ship this, all I need to do is put it like inside a shipping bag. And then the size of it isn't that big, and then the ornaments are fairly small, fairly lightweight. So I think there's a good chance that, you know, maybe like $25 would be the shipping cost. But then when you translate that into like the USD, you know, it would be kind of like $18. And then it's not too far of like what would be kind of in the ballpark range of standard for down in the States. So you know, I have to build that website. That's like on my list of things. There's a handful of things that I have to do before the farm starts up again. Like I gotta get my accounting done. I gotta like build our Squarespace website, which I've been talking about doing, but we've just been so busy all summer. I hadn't found a window yet. And then there's a few other like channel things that I need to do. But yeah, but get pricing on these, and then like once we have the website built, then we're ready for next year. Because I talked about doing it this year, but I don't know, things change. Yeah, the idea of the box too was that it was a set. I was like, this was like the gift set that I was selling, and then so I can fit like 8 or 9 ornaments inside this box because the box ended up being way bigger than I thought. But and then like I was doing like a set of 4 in the box too. Yeah, because what did I sell them as? This year, I think I sold them for $12. The ornaments were $12 or 3 for $30. Or if you wanted the gift box with 4, it was $40. But yeah, I figure I could probably do a gift box of 8 with shipping for $100, right? So I figure I could do like a large gift set, or I could do, or then I could do like the 4 set, you know, and it'd be kind of like somewhere in the $60 range, but it'd be Canadian, right? And like the Canadian to US exchange there's like 30% savings on there. So I don't know. I have to figure it out. I don't have the numbers yet, but I think there's a chance. Yeah, and totally. Like I know that there's like ways that you can get a little bit of a discount for bulk shipping. And more importantly, there's like ways that you can do shipping from home. It's not like I have to go and like wait at the post office counter and be like, okay, I have 100 packages. Let me give you the address. Because that would make it very difficult to run the business. Okay, so I don't think I saw any other questions. So I'm gonna get heading out now because it's been forever, like these live videos. So the next Monday is Christmas. Merry Christmas. So I don't think we're gonna do a live video, and then the first is the next one, and I think that I'm gonna talk to Ian, but I think that we'll schedule like the members live on the first. We can have I don't know if people party still. I'm a middle-aged woman who's into gardening, so I don't expect to be super hungover on the first. But yeah, so I might do the members live. So that means the next time we have a live is going to be like into January. So happy holidays, everyone. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out. I have a video about, like successes and failures of dried flowers that I'm finishing up. I have a little bit of work to do on it, tomorrow. So I think that will release on Wednesday morning. So we have a video coming. The reason why there hasn't been a video is because I was on vacation. We were taking it easy. Then I'm really excited. I've been reading this like incredible book, the Lenny Larkin's, like I don't like, I can't remember the title, but like this incredible book about like the business of flower farming. It's like the book that I've been waiting for, right? Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's like takes like it's all my rambling, like it's like all the things that I want you guys to know when I ramble on and on about these business things, and you're like, Serina, you don't make any sense. You just talk for 2 hours and you say nothing. It's like taking like all my rambling and then turning it into like, you know, something that's like actually usable and smart. And she actually does what she says instead of me, who's just like, I should do better about this. So just like an amazing resource. I'm really excited. I'm about halfway through the book, so I'm gonna finish it up, and then I'm gonna make a review video to tell you guys all about it, because it releases in the beginning of January, I think. So I have that to work on this week, and so that video will probably come out next week. And then Ian and I have we've been starting onto our we've done some like work coming up with the ideas of like our 10 lessons from 5th year farming, which is very exciting. It's like, can't believe it's been 5 years. It's crazy, but there's some good lessons. So that's coming out next week. Yeah. And then like we need to get our accounting done by the end of the year, which means, because when we do the accounting is then when we get all of our numbers. And then, so in the beginning of January, we'll be working on getting together like our how much money we made farming like video. And then we'll probably also do like a YouTube breakdown one, because I don't know, it makes us money, so I like doing it. But it's like the YouTube one this year isn't super racy. It's basically just exactly what happened last year. But I'm excited. I suspect that we made $0 again on the farm. I suspect that we're still at zero, because I spent $10,000 on all those peonies. I made some really big purchases this year, and including like having the employees so many employee hours this year. But we did our goal. We hit 60,000, which was my goal for the year. So I spent a lot of money this year, but I think next year is going to be the video where I'm finally like, we made money. But yeah, so videos coming. Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for hanging out. And we will see you next time. Okay.